Hello everybody, I'm Zoltan and today I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the dice and rolling of the dice in the game of Awaken. So, dice are used to determine the outcome of an action. Awaken uses 6-sided dice and we recommend you get at least 10 dice for the game. When players roll the dice to determine an outcome, it's called simply a roll. Each feature has a rank depending on the nature of the action or task, and the active player usually combines the ranks of relevant attributes and skills. So let's say there's number 2 here and number 3 here. Altogether it's a pool of 5 dice for the roll of, I don't know, jumping or something like that, for agility and physical. The die rolls of 6 and 5 are successes. If a dice roll contains at least one success, the player succeeds in his task and the character enacts his intent. Otherwise, the roll fails. So, let's say I take 5 dice and I roll them. So I have one success, and if the task is a simple task, I succeed in my intent. So there are also exceptional successes and dramatic failures. Rolling 5 or more successes in one dice roll is an exceptional success. And in that case, the narrator describes the most favorable outcome of the character section, and the character regains one will point up to his maximum. Rolling no successes and at least one number 1 on the dice is a dramatic failure. In this case, the narrator describes the worst possible outcome of the character section without killing him. We gotta tell something more about picture rule. Before rolling any dice pool, if a player actively describes the action in a vivid, creative, and picturesque way, hence the name, the narrator can reward her with 1 to 3 bonus dice for her proactive participation. For particular creative descriptions, the narrator can skip the roll and reward the player with an automatic success. So now let's move up to combat. Combat progresses in rounds, with each player acting at the same time. Because combat is very lethal, it may even last only one round. There are 4 phases of a round. 1 is the declaration phase. The players declare what they want their characters to do during the round, during the fight. The order of declaration isn't really important since everything happens at the same time. Number 2 is maneuver phase. In this phase, perform any actions that aren't direct attacks. So some gifts, movement, and combat maneuvers are allowed in this phase. Number 3 is engagement phase. All attacking or defending players now make combat rolls. Combat rolls have following steps. Look to the to the combat pool here under unarmed, melee, or range, and you usually have a number here, and that number is comprised of various skills and attributes like physical, armor, agility, or fray. They all together make some number, and that's your pool for the rolling. After you've seen the number, add the bonus dice from the picture rule or subtract the penalties. Penalties from the corruption or penalties from the wounded or heavily wounded or dying death phase of your endurance. Divide dice between attack and defense, and this is extremely important. We roll in the same time, we roll everything at the same time, and your combat pool should be divided between offense and defense. And just to say that the defense has to have at least the same number of dice as the armor or some defense material gives to the player. And afterwards you roll the attack and defense dice. So let's just demonstrate that. Let's say you have number 7 here under melee. That's your pool. And just for the sake of the simplicity, let's skip the picture rule and penalties. So you have to roll 7 dice. Let's number them. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We usually use 2 colors of dice for the game because of the simplicity and easiness. Now I'll show you why. Let's say that armor gives you 2 points and you should have at least 2 points in defense. We usually use darker dice for attack and lighter dice for the defense. So you have to have 2 defense dice. So there is 7 altogether. So the character has to take at least 2 dice for the defense and 5 dice for the offense. But let's say my character wants to go into almost full defensive mode. So he chooses to sacrifice 3 attack dice for the 3 defense dice. And now I roll. I've got no successes in attack, but I have 1 success in the defense. So that means that my defense is pretty lousy actually, but I have a chance to subtract 1 damage point with my defense. The narrator rolls the combat pools the same way as the players, but for the opponents battling the characters. And in the last phase, the resolution phase, the players and narrator compare successes to calculate the damage, and then the narrator describes the result. So let's just do 2 different rolls. Let's make this simple. 3 attacks and 2 defense. 3 attacks and 2 defense. These are various characters. They are different characters. They roll in the same time. Yeah, I made this a little hard to recognize. Let's do it again. In the same time. So this character has 2 attacks, and this character has no defense and no attacks. So this character gets 2 damage points on his chart. The players participating in combat count the attacks and defense dice they rolled, and so does the narrator. Each success on the defense dice negates 1 success on the attack dice, and vice versa. After subtracting the defense dice, the remaining attack dice equals the damage dealt. When assessing the situation, multiple opponents and their successful attacks, the narrator has free hands to decide which of the multiple attackers actually succeed in damaging the player, and if everyone succeeded in dishing out a small amount of damage, or everyone missed and 1 smashed the player with full strength, it's all a matter of perspective and situation. Given that the narrator has this power over the course of the story and situation, he should use it in moderation, and always in favor of the characters and the story. So in short, that's the combat. So let's just go through it again. You have the pool, here is the number, you take, so let's say 7 dice, let's count them, there's 4, there's 3, that's 7, I choose to take 3 for defense, 4 for combat, for attack. I roll them, so no defense, 1 point in attack. So if my opponent has no defense, I succeed in dealing him 1 point of damage here, and vice versa. If my opponent has more attacking dice and successes, he succeeds in dealing me this. So we do damage in the same time one to another, just like in real life. That would be about that for combat. So as you can see, it's quick, lethal, and quick, little, and easy to learn. So until next time, thank you and goodbye.